this first episode will really be about the process of getting to trust and why it's important and what it takes for people to get to the point where they trust you. And why that's important is because, it's trust is probably a difficult thing to define, but when you've lost it. When it's been compromised. This is really going to help people have a blueprint or a step-by-step process on how to go about building trust, particularly in the initial way.
Yep, and no better way to start a year and a new. I don't know. A lot of people just start the new year going, "New year, new me."
Mm-hmm.
So this is a great way to start your new year, new you, by building trust and you know rethinking about how important trust is in relationships,
Yeah.
whether or not it's business or personal relationships.
So I want to focus on why trust is important, right? Because before we go into and launch into some specific content, why is trust important? Well, number one, it makes people feel safe. So when you've got trust in a friendship, in a group, you feel safety. Your guard's down, or you can then connect better with somebody. So that's really important in that regard. Number two, when you trust someone, there's less fear and apprehension that's going on. So you're coming into this situation, whether it's a professional relationship or personal relationship, with less fear and apprehension. And so consequently, you connect with them on a heart level a lot more. So that's a go. Number three, it cements a relationship and allows people to live, work together more harmoniously, right? Whether it's a work relationship or a home relationship, it's really important. And number four, importantly, this goes back to biologically what we want is to be part of groups. And so when you have trust, you open yourself up to being a part of a group and belonging in a group or a community. So they're important. We've talked about it in a previous episode where the exclusion of individual outside of a group, particularly in the animal world, but even previously, was akin to not being safe. So having the support of the group is safety and trust. So to be part of that, you've got to be trustworthy. So they're the cardinal pillars upon which, or reasons why, trust is important for as a concept.
Yep. I feel that every time I travel, when I'm like I just want to go home, and when I come home, it's because I trust my surroundings. I know everything, and I'm in a state of comfort because I've done these things a million times. I get to see my family, and there's the trust, and I'm not worrying, is someone going to pickpocket me here, or like there's a trust in my environment. So I always feel more safe, as you outlined here. But yeah, trust comes from many different parts. It's not just human to human. Trust can be trust in surroundings,
Yep.
and that's where you get into your comfort zone and you feel safe. And then that means you have the ability, once you feel safe, to start creating something that's strong and magical.
Yeah. And you're right in that there's a process, because anything that's new, you don't have the familiarity and you don't have the references to say, this is good for me, this is a safe environment. And interestingly, a lot of very shrewd business people, when they're bringing you into, when you're introducing them to your environment, it was always told to us, particularly from my coaches in the past, was familiarity is really important. So whenever someone comes into your business, your work role, whatever, familiarize them with the layout, familiarize them with the people. That goes a long way into making them feel safe. Because if you just go in and launch into what you do, irrespective of what you're saying, in the background of someone's mind, they're going, okay, where are the exits? Where's going on? And I know myself, like, when I go to a restaurant, funny as it sounds, this is built into me. I always go, where are the exits? Where are the, where, like, I map it out really,
Yeah.
really quickly, right? It's always been built in to me. I always go, I never take a seat with my back to the door. I always do that, scope it all out. Call it a reconnaissance mission. But I always know that provides safety for me. So at any one time, I've got a layout of what's going on. I know where the exits are. I know where everything is, and that allows me to calm myself down. So if you put yourself in the mind of a consumer who's walking into your business with that mindset, can you see how important it is that you familiarize them with the layout so that they feel calmer?
Yeah. That's like when you come into workplace, we do inductions, and that's because we have heavy machinery and we've got a lot of automated machinery. If you don't know how to use it, it can be scary. So we don't expect everyone to be able to use everything straight off. We go and sit down, teach them about it. We let them see other people using the machine. So then they get that confidence and that trust in the machine and then in the process. So they don't feel like they're an outsider anymore. They start to feel a part of that whole process. And then we have the evacuation procedures everywhere as well. Like I'm not one that doesn't plaster heaps of notes. Like, notes are everywhere. Hygiene, our beards need to be no longer than 2 mil, all this stuff. But then that means that everyone who walks in knows what's expected and there's trust in the system.
Yeah.
So, and then
That's important.
In the same return, if someone breaks that trust, you go, well, it's everywhere here.
Yep.
You know, then we can have that open and honest conversation because we've got the rules for the establishment, and every day they come in and they abide by the rules. Is that trust is ongoing, and that's the next podcast, which is maintaining trust. But this is the establishment of it. So let's bring it back.
Let's go into that. No, you're spot on, Adam. That's really, really important because there's so many layers to this, and a lot of the times, you know, what is it that defines a buying relationship? And we're talking about it specifically within business and in someone seeking to work with you specifically, because that's the subcategory of areas that we're working in, but it's got applications in other areas as well. So if you can take these factors in mind and incorporate those, I think it'll go a long way into you being able to establish trust with people you want to work with, and it'll happen faster as well. So there are certain things that people need to know, need to have established before they can get to the point where they trust you. And we've outlined 7 points that are very, very important and that will assist and help out. And as always, we always reference this. We've got show notes that will make this process much easier for you. So if you want to sit back, relax, listen to the concept and then refer back to the notes, that would work out really, really well. So the first step in establishing trust that we've got to be cognizant of is the fact that people don't know who you are. Let's just assume that you're in a business and you are marketing or just putting up your shingle and trying to get things going. By and large, most people don't know who you are and what you stand for. So what's really, really important here is establishing the areas of subject matter, becoming a subject matter expert. How do you become known in that space? Number 2, how do people get to know about what it is that you do? Number 3, how is it that people can understand a little bit about you specifically? Because I think we've mentioned many, many times before in the podcast, people don't buy the message until they buy the messenger. So that you're really selling you in a lot of ways. Yes, you're selling a service or a product, but fundamentally, why should people go past everybody else and choose you? Other than price, that may be one factor, but why deal with you? And so I think that's really, really important. And in this day and age, the number one area that trumps most is social proof. And by social proof, the best way that you know that that's happening is through referrals. And so when we talk about trust, the important thing is if I refer you to go to I was going to say my hairdresser, but it's not really applicable for me. Is that to a restaurant, right? I'm staking my reputation on that. And so what's happening is that you may not know anything about this restaurant, but there's a transference of trust. I trust you, I trust your judgment, so I'm going to give that a go. And so that's how they may not know you, but someone else knows you, your products, your services, and you can leverage that relationship, that trust, and transfer it to somebody else.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that. Like when I get the reps come in through the business and they're talking about new products and stuff like this, or I inquire about a product and they go, oh, well, we've got a few options. I go with your option. I trust you. And you can see when you say that their mind flips and it's like now they've got ownership on the decision. It's not selling the best price product. It's what's best for the application because there is that trust in there. And I find that I always get a better result when I say I trust you in this process because people start taking ownership of what they're doing. That's in the business situation. But also, like, for instance, you're saying in a social way, at trade shows, when I walk around, just because I know one guy, I'm in with the next guy.
Yep.
You know, and it means that just because it's like the high school thing, just because we're cool, you're cool by association type thing. And I find it's really clicky. And I've always said, I don't want to do business, or well, people don't do business with people they don't like.
Yep.
So you've got to establish that trust. And as you said, social media, in the show notes, social media is a big part of this. When Instagram went from just photos to putting little snippets of videos and stories, people started seeing the real person behind that Instagram account. It's one thing to put that highly polished version, but when you're standing with your phone and just doing a selfie and like talking into it for 10, 15 seconds, people started to learn who you were.
Yep.
And they were starting to buy your message more.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. That's how people get to know you. And you're right. In this day and age of social media, you got more scope to go from zero or scratch and have people understand who you are and what you stand for than any other time that I can recall. So it's a great opportunity to leverage that. But remember that people need to know you, because now quite often you are the brand. And a lot of people are developing their own personal brand as a means of people getting to know them, so that they can trust them because they know who they are and what they stand for.